Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to talk about cognitive approaches to second language learning. So in this chapter, we are going to explore different perspectives and theories about how second language is being acquired. So cognitive approaches to second language learning, general implicit learning mechanism. So the input-based emergentist perspective. So emergentism offers a different way of understanding how people learn a second language. It argues that language doesn't come from an inborn grammar system, but rather it emerges through exposure and use. So learning is a bottom-up process. A learner hears and uses the language repeatedly, notice pattern, and gradually form internal rules from experience instead of memorizing them. So there are two main factors that shape this process, the input-related factors and the learner mechanism. Input-related factors refers to the kind and amount of language a learner is exposed to, or how often forms appear, so how noticeable they are and how essential they are for meaning. The learner-related mechanism naman, it involves how learner process and connect what they hear through associative learning, so attention and influence from their first language. So these two constantly interact. Learner extract pattern from the input using the mental abilities. So the learning depends on both the quality of input in the learner processing system. So the research of input factors explore why some features are easier to acquire. One major study by Goldsneder and De Keyser 2001 analyzed 12 previous studies involving over 900 English learners. They look at how learners acquire morphemes like ing, ed, or s in articles such as and the. So they found out that 5 factors together: the salience, semantic complexity, regularity, and syntactic position and frequency. And this best explain why some morphemes are learned faster than others. So there are no single factor work alone. It should be the combination of this that matters. So they also emphasize salience. The clearer and more meaningful a form is, the easier it is to learn. And there is another study by Collin et al. 2009. They compared 3 English structure: the progressive ing, the past ed, and the possessive his or her. They found out that progressive ing is learned earliest because of its frequent use, easy to hear, and has a clear meaning. And ed is less salient, often silent in speech, so it is harder to notice, while his or her is the hardest since it's short, context-dependent, and less frequent. So this result shows, the study's result show that learning depends heavily on how visible and meaningful a form is in real input. So Collins and colleagues improved their earlier research by using authentic language data, though they noted that measuring salience can be subjective, but because what stand out for one learner may not for another. So there are another meta-analysis that was carried by Luke and Shirai 2009. They added the dimension of the first language influence. They found out that learners whose first language lacks certain morphemes like plural s or articles tend to acquire them later. Spanish learner whose language shares similar structure with English learn faster. So this shows that the first language can either support or slow down the second language acquisition. So all these findings challenge the old belief in a fixed natural order or morpheme acquisition. Instead, the learning depends on multiple interacting factors like first language and the type of the frequency of input and individual processing difference. So that explains why. To explain this interaction further, researchers highlights the model competition or the competition model by McWhiney. So this model views the language learning as a kind of competition between different cues. So that signals meaning, like word order, intonation, and verb ending. So learner figure out which cues are most reliable in their language. For instance, English speaker rely mainly on word order, while Italian speaker depend more on verb ending. So when learning another language, learner may transfer these habits, which can cause difficulty. So the strength of certain cues in the first language affects how the learner notice and interpret cues in the second language. So the newer version of the competition model expanded beyond grammar to include the cognitive and social dimension. It sees that language learning it sees language learning as a dynamic process where brain processing, memory, attention, and other social interaction all plays role. So learners continuously test and adjust to the language environment, discovering which cues and patterns work best.
So now let's proceed to learner-related factors associative learning. So when people learn a second language, their brain uses general thinking skills that are also used in everyday learning. So these skills come from psychology, and researchers use these ideas to understand how learners process words and grammar. Some experts in first language learning, like children learning their mother tongue, say that language is learned through usage, by hearing words many times in different situations. So, researcher Nick Ellis put together a framework called GRID. So, according to him, language learning is constructed-based, meaning in language learning, we don't only learn individual words, we also learn construction, which are patterns that connect the form of language with their meaning and use in real communication. So these constructions help us understand not just what to say, but how and when to say it correctly. Next is rational. The term rational in language learning means that our brain tries to be smart and practical when processing language. It does not just store random words and structures. It learns to predict which language patterns are most likely to appear in a conversation or text. Our mental or language system becomes tuned or trained to expect certain construction based on what we hear often and what fits the situation. So there are several factors affect this. First is frequency. This means that if we hear a certain word or pattern many times, our brain starts to expect it more. Next is recency. The things we heard or used recently stay more active in our mind, are easier to remember. Next is the context. The situation or topic helps our brain guess what language might come next. So next, please slide. So exemplar-driven learning means that when we learn a language, we pay attention to the examples that we hear or see many times. From these examples, our brains tries to find common patterns and then applies those patterns to new sentences. Next is emergent. Emergent means that language patterns do not come from rules already built into our brains. Instead, these patterns develop or emerge slowly based on how we experience and use the language in real-life situations. Next is dialectic. Dialectic refers to the idea that language learning does not happen alone. Instead, We learn better when we interact with other people like our classmates, teachers, or native speakers. These interactions help us fix mistakes and understand language more correctly. When we talk to others, ask questions, or receive feedback, we can improve areas that are difficult in associative learning. So next slide, please. So frequency helps language learning because the more often we hear certain words or grammar patterns, the easier they are to notice, understand, and remember. Our brains naturally track how often language forms appear and use this information to guess which patterns are most likely correct. So this process happens automatically even without conscious effort. If a learner hears past tense verbs ending in ed many times, like their brain starts to recognize that ed is commonly used for past tense. So next slide, please. In learning a second language, we do not always learn the most common or frequent forms first. This is because other things affect how we notice and understand language. There are two important ideas or overshadowing and attention blocking. Overshadowing happens when one part of a sentence already gives enough meaning, so the learner ignores another useful part. So when this ignoring happens many times, it can lead to attention blocking. This means the brain gets used to paying attention only to the clue it already knows. Because of this, it becomes harder to learn new clues that show the same meaning. The first learned clue blocks the new one.
Statistical learning and connectionist account. Statistical learning is often investigated using connectionist computer models such as simple recurrent network or SRN. Connectionist models simulate how links between information nodes become strengthened or weakened through repeated activation or non-activation, that is, their weighting changes. Statistical learning is often studied using connectionist model or simple recurrent network or SRN by simulating how brain process information. It also helps understand how human, especially child, learn patterns or structure in language. So this model, through repeated exposure to information, the connection between nodes becomes stronger or weaker depending on how they are activated together. For instance, if you teach a child new word, for example, the word bag, B-A-G, then gina-repeat nimo many times, each time makita or marinig niya ang BAG, automatically ma-recognize sa bata nga bag ang pagbasa because that word or pattern has learned statistically. Wala pa dira ang slide ate. Okay, let's analyze the picture. The network learns by receiving information such as letter, sounds, word, or phrase, which serve as input. When this input enters the system, the network attempts to predict what comes next. The next, it's either sounds, word, or even meaning. This prediction is then sent to the output layer, where the program already contains the correct answer. Because of this, the network immediately receives feedback, letting it know whether its prediction was right or wrong. So, next slide po. Construction learning. The constructionist perspective holds that to learn a language, one must learn a very diverse array of construction, that is, conventionalized form, meaning, mappings of all kinds, abstract and concrete, which becomes schematized over time in users' minds as byproduct of language use. Learning a language is not simply about memorizing vocabulary or mastering grammar. Instead, it involves learning a wide variety of construction or pattern, how something is written or said. The language we use every day, kaya wala nato siya gina-memorize, but we are constructing a word when we are communicate. We have concrete and abstract construction, the concrete or like fixed expression. For instance, thank you or good morning, this kind of expression kay madunggan or we use this in our daily lives. The abstract kani siya kay more flexible and creative. For instance, the boy runs or the cat sleeps. So may pattern nga ginasunod the plus noun plus verb. This study typically investigates whether learners are assisted by factors such as frequency or prototypically. Also, in the study of Alice and Ferreira Jr. 2009, we have a verb argument construct or VAX that language learner often use when learning English. We have verb locatives, verb object locatives, and distractives. So verb locatives which describe movement from one place to another. So the most common and basic instruction was go somewhere. This pattern combines the verb go with a location such as go home or go to school or either go outside. Also, we have verb object locatives. The typical pattern was put something somewhere. This structure expressed placing an object in a specific location for as in like put the book on the table or put your bag down. Lastly, we have the transitive construction, which involves giving or transferring something to someone. The most common structure was give someone something. This example include give me a pen, give her a gift. The verb here give perfectly represent the idea of transferring an object from one person to another. The researcher also conclude that this frequent and typical expression go somewhere, put somewhere, and give someone something act as starting point for learners. Because these constructions are used so often by both native speakers and learners, it also helps build the foundation for understanding more complex and less typical language pattern. Next slide po. We have implicit learning, form, meaning, connection. The term implicit learning happens without awareness, meaning that the learner may not even realize that learning has taken place. So the person might not be able to explain exactly what they learn or how they learned it, but the knowledge becomes part of the natural behavior. For instance, children acquire the grammar of their first language implicitly. So they don't know, they do not study grammar or their grammar, yet they learn to use correct word order and tenses formally. So this type of learning is very important in language acquisition because much of what people know about language, especially pronunciation, grammar, and rhythm, is learned implicitly. Yeah, that's all po for my part. Next reporter, please.
So, processing-based perspective, the term processing is used to many meanings, and we have just reviewed the specialist use of the term by emergentist and constructionist researchers. And within non-emergentist views, Carroll's 2001 autonomous induction theory proposes that one driver of learning is when online parting fails. So, this explains that language time learning depends on how learners handle input in real time. When comprehension fails, learners adjust their mental system, and learning occurs when learners connect linguistic forms to meaning during processing and not just through memorizing grammar rules. Then, input processing theory claims that learning requires form-meaning connections to be made during online processing, processability theory. Penniman and the efficiency-driven professor of OGRAD. The learners first focus on meaning, and the grammar is noticed only when processing space is available. And efficient processing and better vocabulary supports noticing grammar, and what learners already know strongly influences what they can process next. Next slide po. So the processability theory of Penniman and the efficiency-driven professor both are concerned with relationships among the nature of language, human processing, constraints, and learning phenomena. Better comprehension due to improving lexical storage and access may release attentional resources to establish new representation of morphosyntax. There is good evidence for the general notion when what has been learned affects what can be processed. Corder 1978, Gas 1988. So, the learners acquire grammar in a fixed sequence based on their minds that can process in each stages. Next slide po. Processability theory of Feynman 1988 claims that we need to use both theory of a grammar and a processing component in order to understand L2 acquisition, and however the theory focuses on the acquisition of the procedural skills required for processing pwede pa ano ate ka din? Thank you. The formal properties of a second language. So, the learners cannot skip stages because the grammatical development depends on the gradually gaining the mental procedures for handling the linguistics information. Next slide po. The second language learning theory is a theory of a grammar which attempts to represent both linguistic knowledge and language processing with the same framework. Processability theory aims to clarify how learners acquire the computational mechanism which operate on the linguistic knowledge they construct. So, this explains that the learners build knowledge of grammar while processing the language in real time. They show that the learning is not only memorizing rules but developing mental systems that can handle linguistic structures during the communication. Next slide po ako. So, here are the levels of So level 1, the lemma access words, no sequence of constituents. Level 2, category, procedure, lexical morphemes, no exchange of information, canonical word order. The level 3, phrasal procedure, the phrasal morphemes. Level 4, simplified as procedure, that exchange of information from the internal to salient constituent. Level 5, the as procedure, interphrasal morphemes, that exchange of information between the internal constituents, and the level 6 that subordinate the clause procedure. Next slide po ako. So, here are the quoting phenomenon again. The hierarchical nature of this list arises from the fact that the procedure of each lower level is prerequisite for the functioning of the higher level. So, this theory proposes that the learners move through ordered levels of processing from the single word to the simple grammar, to the phrase relationship to sentence level information that exchange, and eventually managing the complex structure like subordinate clauses, and each level builds on previous procedures. For example, a learner starts with a single word, milk, then later they progress to full sentences that I bought milk at the store yesterday because I needed it. And their grammar becomes more complex. Next po. So, here are the stages. So, the learners begin with a simple SVO word order, which is the stage 1, and then stage 2 is the place the adverbs at the sentence beginning without sharing the grammatical information. In stage 3, they separate verb parts that shows the ability to exchange the grammatical information across elements. So, this example for stage 1 is that I eat apples, the SVO order. Stage 2, yesterday I eat apples, which is the adverb fronting na. Then stage 3 is I have eaten, the verb separated into auxiliary and participle. Next slide po. Then the stage 4, the learner's position in the verb second. The stage 5 that requires the grammatical features to unify across phrases without relying on saliency. And the verbal placement. The verbal placement of subordinate clauses that shows the mastery of a complex clause, structures, and grammatical relationships. Example of stage 4 is that yesterday I went to school. The verb second is in the center. Then the stage 5, I know that he went to school. The verb is at the end in the subordinate clauses of he and to. Next slide po. So, perceptual salience. So, It is how to certain the language form stands out and are easily noticed by learners during the communication. When a structure is more noticeable, learners are more likely to process, remember, and eventually acquire it naturally to exposure. So example is that the learners often notice the ing faster because it is obvious in speech. For example, she is running. It stands out visually and orally. That makes it easier for us. Then the stages of acquisition that cannot be skipped through formal instruction and would be most beneficial if it focus on structures. So it states that the learners acquire language in fixed developmental stages that no matter how much instruction is given, the students cannot skip stages. Then teaching is most effective when focused on structures that match the learner's current processing level. For example, a student must learn I go to school before they can produce the question do you go to school, and they cannot jump directly to complex structures even if the teacher teaches them. And that's po. Next reporter po.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Now we're going to discuss the efficiency-driven professor. The efficiency-driven professor, proposed by O'Grady, explained that language is shaped by brain's natural drive for efficiency rather than by strict grammatical rules. This theory focuses on how people process and understand language by using the least amount of mental effort. Next slide. According to O'Grady, language, structure processing, and learning all depend on how the mind works to reduce the burden on working memory. This idea, known as efficiency requirement, means that the brain tries to keep only the necessary information while interpreting or producing sentence. For example, in the sentence, the girl with the dark hair laughed loudly. The brain must hold the phrase, the girl, in working memory until it reaches the verb laugh to make sense of the sentence. Next slide. O'Grady also explained that the brain processes sentence through combined and resolved routines when words and their meanings are connected one step at a time. Important links between words such as subject and verbs are called dependencies, and they act like glue that holds a sentence together. Next slide. These patterns are stored in the mental dictionary or lexicon, which keeps not only the meaning of words but also how they combine with others over time. As we use language more often, these mental routines become faster and more automatic. The efficiency-driven professor also involves two main systems: the lexicon system, which store word meaning using declarative memory, and the computational system, which process sentence using procedural memory supported by working memory. In short, O'Grady theory showed that language use is based on the brain's effort to process information quickly, clearly, and efficiently. So, the efficiency-driven processor created by O'Grady, so he explained that our brain process and learns language based on how efficiently it can handle information. So it means that when we speak or understand sentence, our brains try to do it in the easiest and fastest way possible without using too much mental energy, instead of depending mainly on grammar rules. This theory focuses on how our memory and thinking work together to make communication speech. O'Grady also say that when we listen or read, our brain only keeps information in memory as long as needed to understand a sentence. Like for example, in the sentence, the girl with the dark hair laughed loudly. The brain must remember the girl until it reaches the word laugh to make sense of who doing the action. This show that our mind works step by step by combining words and meaning as we go, which helps save time and effort. And this theory also talk about codependencies, which are the links between word, like the connection between subject and verb. These links are stored in our mental dictionary called the lexicon, which help us know how words can work together in sentence. As we use language more, our brain become quicker and better processing it. And Ogrady also mentioned two important systems in our brain. One that store words and meaning called declarative memory, and another that help us form and understand sentence in real time called procedural memory. Together, the system help us communicate effectively by reducing the effort our brain uses. Thank you. Next reporter po.
Hello, madunggan ko ninyo. EDP and First Language Acquisition. So, according to O'Grady, language acquisition is basically about creating mappings between form and meaning. He believes that when we acquire a language, we develop and automatize computational routines. These are mental processes that help us understand and produce sentence quickly. As our brain processes language, it competes with other cognitive functions, and over time, these routines become faster and more efficient. This process is called processing amelioration. So, in first language acquisition, children learn faster when the routines are less costly for the brain. For example, they might omit subject-verb agreement or say eated instead of ate, because those forms are easier for their brains to process. O'Grady calls this the efficiency requirement, meaning learners naturally prefer the easiest and most efficient way to process language. Children also build knowledge of how words connect, like learning how the verb be works and in questions. Through constant exposure and repetition, they develop biases that make some sentence patterns more familiar and automatic. As their working memory grows, they can handle more complex structure, which explains why language skills develop gradually as they age. Next is the second language acquisition. So for the second language acquisition, O'Grady says that learner often transfer the processing routines from their first language to their second language, but only if those routines are not too costly to use. This means that the habits and sentence structure from their first language influence how they understand and use the second one. However, as they gain more exposure, they develop new routines that are more efficient for the new language. Learning a second language also requires more working memory because learners have to adjust to a new sound system, new grammar, and new word combination. So lastly is the empirical research on EDP and SLA. So to support the EDP framework, O'Grady and his colleagues 2005 conduct an experiment that tested how processing difficulty affects comprehension and second language learners. The research aimed to provide the isomorphic mapping hypothesis, which states that non-isomorphic mappings, those that do not follow the real world order of events, are harder to process and understand. In this study, there are 47 L2 English learners. There are 47 L2 English learners, 27 Korean and 20 Japanese were asked to act out simple English instruction using props. The research compared 3 sentence patterns that varied in frequency and isomorphism. So, as shown in the table, the locative and fronted instrument patterns were both isomorphic, meaning they follow the natural order of how events happen in real life. These patterns were predicted to be easier to understand, and the result confirmed this. Both Korean and Japanese learners achieve high comprehension scores of around 90% or more. On the other hand, the basic instrument patterns was non-isomorphic, meaning it did not follow the real-world sequence of events. For example, in the tap the crayon with the pencil, the phrase structure does not match how the action naturally occurs. This pattern was predicted to be more difficult, and indeed, the learners performed poorly. Only 60.8% correct for Korean learners and 28.4% for Japanese learners. So this finding supports O'Grady isomorphic mapping hypothesis, showing that learners comprehend sentence more easily when the structure align with the natural order of events. These experiments also reinforce the main idea of the EDP framework, that both first and second language learners prefer structure that minimize processing costs and mental effort. So in summary, the study demonstrates that language comprehension and acquisition are influenced not only by frequency but also how efficiently the brain can process sentence structure based on real-world experience. Next reporter.
Now we are down to evaluation of implicit cognitive approaches. Cognitive research in second language acquisition focuses on how learners process and produce language and how the brain manages these processes. So researchers study the kind of input learners receive and how they use it in speaking or writing, and how computer models can stimulate the brain's learning mechanism. So Cognitivists mainly examine how learning happens, how the brain recognizes and stores linguistic information, while others also look at what is learned, meaning how these processes leads to actual grammatical systems. So overall, this research shows that second language learning can be studied scientifically through experiment, comparison, across language and computer simulation. So now let's go to the view of language. So cognitive and connectionist theories see language not as a set of rules stored in the mind, but as a pattern of association between forms and meanings. So this connection strengthened through repetition and use. So the more often learners encounter a certain combination, the more automatic they become. So, language learning, therefore, happens implicitly through exposure rather than memorization, kagaya sa mga natakil kanina. So, learners develop expectation about what form are likely to occur based on frequency, making the language a probabilistic system. So, according to O'Grady, language is the result of the brain's computational efficiency, not the built-in grammar blueprint na sinasabi ni itong grammar yan. Basta katong ano. So, humans have general learning system that adapt naturally to linguistic input. So, let's move on to the view of language learning. So, cognitive approaches suggest that learning a language involves implicit statistical learning. So, the brain unconsciously tracks pattern in the input, such as which word co-occur or which ending match verbs. So over time, these patterns become automatic. Frequent and meaningful patterns are learned faster, supporting the emergentist idea that language emerges from experience and repetition. So the process is thought to mirror how the brain forms neural connection, although scientists still don't know the full neural details. So O'Grady O'Grady's model connect the learning to working memory and procedural memory, explaining why yung adults often find it harder to develop automatic language use because they rely more on conscious control than intuitive routines. So, let's go to the language view of language learner. So, cognitive theories views learner as individual processor of information, not just social communicators. Everyone can share the same basic learning mechanism, but individual differences like memory capacity and processing speed affect the learning process. O'Grady also adds that while all humans have computational system for processing the language, not everyone's system works with the same efficiency. So, iba-iba ng speed yung learning ng bawat isa. And adults may have stronger memory, but yung brain nila are already tuned to their first language, making it harder to adapt a new one. So, cognitive research, all this research shows that the second language learning is a mental, data-driven process, and language emerges from patterns in input shaped by memory, attention, and experience, not by memorizing rules. So, the key is how efficiently each learner's brain processes and automates those patterns through the use. So, that's all. Thank you. Kay ano